Well, hello. Welcome to my Guitar Zone. This is the first video of 53 for beginning students. You've never played a guitar or are going to start. This is also a review for intermediate students and advanced students. It may help you with teaching, and it may help you with some fundamentals that maybe you missed sometime in your learning how to play guitar. So, if you join my Patreon site, you've subscribed, I really thank you. If you subscribed at the A, B, or C level, these videos are for you because you've subscribed. It's 53. So most years there's 52 weeks, but I decided to do 53 because some years, once in a while, we have a 53-week year. Okay, that said, I'm going to do this first lesson showing you three different guitars: an acoustic, a classical guitar, and an electric guitar. And this is in case you're going to be buying a guitar or have bought one. I want to show you the differences a little bit, and it's very important that you have a good guitar. A playable guitar. It doesn't have to be real expensive, but something decent to learn on. Then I'm going to give you your first lesson, what I would expect that you would start learning to practice, and be patient the first week, and then we're able to start to see how you're doing after a week. And if you've subscribed at the B level of my subscriptions, you get a free lesson every month, and I can go over this stuff. If you're at the A level, well, you get a lesson every week with me, and these are going to help you review. So let me start off with this first guitar. This first guitar is an acoustic guitar. It's actually a half size, and there are 3/4 size guitars. So this guitar is really small on me. Notice I'm sitting with it on my knee, between my legs, and that's how the guitar is designed, the bout here. It sits nicely, and this way we have a slant on the neck that's proper, allows our arm to have relaxation and movement to play throughout the guitar neck. Allows, on the back of the guitar, you can see my hand hanging here. And this is so I can use my fingers to play in my right hand, or I can use a guitar pick, okay? So the first exercise I'm going to want you to do deals with the right hand, with the guitar pick. But let me say, this guitar size, okay, can be for any size person. A big person like me. For children, it's probably really good to have a half-size guitar, or maybe a 3/4 size guitar. And you should research that when you buy a guitar, okay? And check them out and look at them. Sometimes we have females that have small hands and small physique, also men. So sometimes the half size or a 3/4 size is a good guitar, better than having a full size guitar, because it fits your hands better and you're able to start really seeing what it's all about and learning the instrument. But it makes it just, I think, a little easier when the scale is a little bit less than a full size instrument. Also, these instruments can also be electrified, and they can also have guitar tuners built into them. This one is not, but I will show you in later lessons other acoustic guitars I have that have the electronics to plug them into an amplifier or a Bluetooth speaker or whatever, and you also can have guitar tuners sometimes that help you tune electronically. So that's all good stuff, but the price goes up, okay? Great having a guitar, an acoustic guitar or classical guitar, because they're mobile. You can take them anywhere with you. You can travel with them. They don't take up a lot of space. Okay, so let's get into the pick. Here's the first thing I want you to do. You're going to need guitar picks. Talking about guitar picks, there are different size picks. There are these little tiny, we call them jazz picks. They're little. They're real little. And notice I'm putting my thumb and index finger and I'm squeezing this. And if I was using this tiny little pick, I'm going to be using just the very tip of this pick to hit the strings with. The standard size pick, they look like this. They're kind of triangular shaped. And what you need to know is they come in different thicknesses. They come in very thin, regular thin, medium, regular medium, light medium, heavy, super heavy, medium heavy. So there's different thicknesses and also different materials. They can be made out of steel. They can be made out of wood. They can be made out of plastic. For most uses, we use picks that are made out of plastics. The medium pick is what I recommend. The flimsy thin picks really aren't going to help you. You're not going to get a good feel for where the string is, and I think they're kind of useless. The real heavy picks kind of make a pick sound when you hit, and they're a little bit too much. But the medium pick, they have a little tiny bit of flex, but really they're pretty rigid. So when you hit the string with that downstroke, and notice I'm changing the tone by moving my pick from the bridge to the neck. Most of the time you're going to be picking over the sound hole in the middle. You want to have relaxed hand. You don't want this hand to be tense like this. You want it to always be relaxed and be comfortable. So I'm sitting with the guitar between my legs. The guitar's on a nice slant. Now you could sit on the other leg, but it's not as nice as this position. This is the best learning position, and learn how to practice to get the angle right on the guitar neck. You could also have a guitar strap that helps you keep the guitar on you. That's another thing we'll talk about later. But anyways, the pick, once you get a pick and get some different picks, you'll try different ones and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's just like you're going to pinch someone. You put your index finger and the pick lays flat on your index finger. And then you want to squeeze it with your thumb. You don't want to do this second finger business. Some people do. They put the pick on the side of their finger like this. And that's a technique, but I would rather you learn this way, because this way you have more nerve receptors in your fingers, and the pick becomes an extension of your fingers and hand. There's more feeling in squeezing it on the flat part of your index finger, and then your thumb comes in, presses it against your index finger. You want to squeeze it hard enough so it doesn't fall out when you hit down, or you do a down, up, down, up, down, up. When I do those down ups, my pick is going down and then up. So there's not a lot of wrist movement, very little, but I'm consistent with down, up, down, up. I start really slow speeds. I want that upstroke to be as loud as the downstroke. And then eventually you work on faster speeds. You work on going gradually faster and then retarding, then getting slower, and then holding it at one speed for a while without hitting any other strings. So this string I'm hitting right now is the E string. It's the 6th string. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This first week, you need to know those 6 strings, and you need to know the names of these strings, these open strings. The low E string, that's your 6th string. The next string is your 5th string. That's the A string. Your 4th string is D. Your 3rd string is G. We know about G strings, right? G string. And then your next string is B. And then the first string is E again. So we have 2 E's. We have an E first string and an E 6th string. 2 E's on the guitar. This is standard tuning. There are other tunings we'll talk about later lessons. But, so we've got E, A, D, G, B, E. You want to be able to say those from 6 to 1, and then in reverse you would say E, B, G, D, A, E. And you want to get good at that. E, B, G, D, A, E. E, A, D, G, B, E. So that's the first thing I want you to be able to do. I want you to be able to hit the strings and know the name, the string number, 1 through 6, and know that note name. Now, our musical alphabet goes from A to G. As you notice, we don't have an open C string or an open F. But we do have B, A, B. We have A, B, no C. We have a D. We have two E's, A, B, C, D, E. We have no F. And we have a G string. So you need to know these strings. Now, the first exercise is to have a good grip on your pick and hold it properly, relaxed right hand, and you want to start with a very slow down, 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 down. Hitting that sixth string. After you've done the E string for a little bit, you're consistent with that, and it sounds decent, go to the A string. And then you want to get to your D string, and you can go really slow at first. And eventually you'll speed up. So there's your D string, your fourth string. And you go to your third string, your G string. And then your B string. It's your second string. And then you're finally at your E string. And then you would do that same thing coming back to the B string. Downstroke. The G string. 1, 2, 3, 4. We like to do things in fours, right? That's our timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on the 2, 3. So the next thing we want you to do is you need to get good at a down up. So what if you just practiced upstrokes? Up, 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 up. If you do that for a while. Then we do the down up. So when your pick goes down up, you want that upstroke to be just as loud. You want to try to get it to sound just like the downstroke. Down, up. You want to say down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Then you'll go to your A string. Up, down, up. D string, down, up, down. Now I'm doing it in a 4/4 time. I'm doing it, if I counted, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. B, B. And then the high E string. We could count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then it starts over again on a different string. 1 and 2. And eventually you get faster and you start getting the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then D and 2 and 3 and 4, G and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So I'm counting the downs and ups. The ups are the ands. The downstrokes are the numbers, the downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. Those are just downbeats. Then 1 and 2 and 3 and then 1 downbeat, 3, 4. Then eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So this is getting you to learn the open string names and the numbers. It's also getting you to get acquainted with the pick. Pick has to be your friend. Now there are other styles of picks. I know I talked a little bit, but there are also thumb picks and finger picks that actually hook onto your fingers. We'll talk about that later. And then there's just using your fingers or your thumb. Later on, we'll talk about the right hand and not using a pick, because that's, for certain styles of music, that's what you want to be able to do. But one more thing. There's always one more thing, right? Okay, so you've worked on that. Now, if you think you've got it good, I want you to try doing what I call playing blind. So you've looked at your pick, you've studied it for a while, you've been watching how it hits the string and the quality of your picking, and you're being consistent now. You've been diligent. Now you've got to maybe start on that sixth string with maybe a down, up, down, up, down. Now I'm going to jump Now I'm going to jump to the 4th string, but I'm not going to look. I'm going to play blind. I'm going to look away. Now I'm going to jump to the 2nd string, the B string. Now I'm going to go to the G string, the 3rd string. Now I'm going to jump from the G maybe to the E string, the 1st string. And I'm keeping that down, up going. I'm going to jump to the A string, the B string. How about the low E? How about the high E? How about the D? Notice I'm going right to the correct string. B string, and then you're playing blind. You're not looking. You're starting to hear what those strings sound like, and you're learning to gauge. You're learning to gauge how far your hand has to go. Get to E to E, E to B, E to G, E to D, E to A. So that's called gauging where your strings are. When you do it enough, your mind's eye, you're able to just hit those. I might ask you, hit your A string, hit your B string, hit your D string, but without looking. High E, low E. So this is important. You start to get the feel for where the strings are. Okay, so what we've done so far is just working with picking, getting your right hand going. Now we have to do something with the left hand, and I will say the art of guitar is in relaxation of these hands. They got to be this relaxed. When you tense up, then things don't go good. You're tense. It's not going to be good. So you have to learn to untense, to get relaxed. Sometimes you take your hands away from the guitar and you just shake them really relaxed like I'm doing here. And you can do little calisthenics, to get the blood flow, shake them, and then go back again, okay? But whenever you get tense, you have to kind of stop and untense, okay? Because we want to build strength in all these muscles in our fingers, right and left hand. So as I place my hand up here, notice these metal bars are your frets, and this down here is your nut. Now, when we put all 4 fingers down, we're in what we call first position, the open string to the 4th fret, our 4th finger. If I move my fingers up, that's 2nd position, 2nd fret. 3rd position usually is marked by a dot on your guitar. 4th, 5th position usually has a dot. 6, 7 usually has a dot. 8th position, 9th position will have a dot sometimes. 10, 11, 12th position has 2 dots usually, if you have dots on your fingerboard like you can see them here, okay? So you get to 12th position, we call this the upper register of the guitar because everything starts over again. If you have an E, then you have an E on the 12th fret. You have an A open, you have an A on the 12th fret. D, D, G, G, B, B, E, E. So you've just learned something. You've learned something that there's 2 registers, the lower register and the upper register. All right. So now, getting back to this hand, I've relaxed my hand. My thumb is going to be placed to start off this first week in back of the 2nd fret. And it's not going to be going on the side like this. We're not going to hang it like that. We're not going to do all these weird things people do. We're just going to relax it back there. The thumb can move a little bit up and a little bit down. You can see my thumb now, but now you can't. So the thumb is just like with the frets. In parallel and horizontal plane, but it's just like a fret. It's back there, and as I put 4 fingers down on each fret, my thumb is kind of in the middle of my 2nd and 3rd finger. So it's in the middle of the finger position. So this first position on the 1st fret is 1st position. I go to the 3rd fret, that's 3rd position, 5th position. I move up to the 9th fret, that would be 9th position. And I move up to the 10th fret, that's 10th position, and then 12th position, where the upper register starts. So positions, that's a word you need to learn. So for a while, to just learn guitar, we're going to be working with just first position for a while. Okay, so notice again, 1, 2, 3, 4. First finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, and T for thumb. Now, that you've subscribed to my Patreon and you're having a weekly lesson with me now, with these videos, you can also send me an email. I can send you a link to get the PDF files, so you'll have charts that will help you visualize, and I'll send them to your email, and you'll have them. You can print them out, and it'll be a really good extra thing to have in front of you when you're doing your lessons with me, okay? So the PDFs are available to those who subscribe, okay? Okay, back again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we know where the thumb goes in the middle of the hand. We play that open E string, and now we depress the first finger on the first fret, but not on, up against, on the tip portion of the finger. And notice that my other fingers are in order, 2, 3, 4. If you're on the fret, you're not going to get a sound. It's not going to sound nice. But if you're hugging the frets, that's where I want your fingers to do. So hug the frets. Very important. Tip portion of your fingers. We don't play on the side of our fingers. We do later for certain techniques and chords, but you've got to learn to play with the very tip portions. That's the part of your fingers that we want to get calloused. We want calluses to develop so that you can press and play guitar without any pain. For usually a few weeks, if you're practicing real well, playing a half hour at the least to an hour or better some days, you're going to develop those calluses. 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then it won't be as painful on the steel string guitar or electric guitar or any guitar, okay? Your fingers start to get calloused, and this is good. We'll talk more about this. But I've played that first finger note. Now I put my second finger down, and I want to hit that with my pick. I'm just hitting down. So I've got open string, first finger, second finger. On the tip of my second finger, up against the second fret. My third finger comes down on the third fret, up against the fret, and then my fourth finger, I got to get it on the tip, and it's hopefully right up against the fret. We want everything to be up against the fret. And if you can't get up against the fret, it may be that you're not positioning your hand right. You may be, your thumb is somewhere like that or something, then you're not going to be able to do that. You have to have your thumb in the middle of your hand and kind of in the middle of the back of the neck. You don't want to be up here, but the thumb will move. We'll show you in a minute. Open, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could go open 1, here we go again, okay? Open, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I can do that, then I can go 4, 3, 2, 1, open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but open, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the way you should say it. Open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, open. Backwards again, 4, 3, 2, 1, open. So what we're doing here on this low E string is we're doing what's called chromaticism. Chromaticism means every half step. So when you play the open E to your first finger, that's the distance of a half step musically. If I was to go from open string to my second finger, that's the distance of a whole step. If I go open string to my third finger, third fret, that's a step and a half. To fourth finger, that's 2 whole steps. So we're talking about steps, full steps, half steps. The chromatic scale that we're working on here is entirely half steps. If I was to just take one finger and go every fret, all the way up the guitar neck, and down, that's called chromaticism. I'm playing every half step. But we're going to be doing a chromatic scale. It's the first and most important lesson for you to start to activate your fingers and get them going so they get dexterous and start to know how to play And we want to, once again, hug the frets, tips of fingers, but notice my fingers stay in this 1, 2, 3, 4 position. So if I'm playing first finger, my fingers aren't out here or down here. They're right in that 1, 2, 3 order. If I'm playing my second finger, those other fingers aren't out in space. They're close to the string. As I go to the next string, the A string, and I do the same thing. Open, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, fingers are right next to the fret. We started on E string. And you should probably be picking all down right now. You'll do down up later. But just down with your pick. And then you go to the next string, your A string. You do the same thing. Then you go to your D string. Same thing. 2, 3. Now the G string. We break the pattern. You gotta remember this. Here's your open G. Got your open G. And now we're going to put the first finger down, the second. Notice my fingers are staying down. Third finger. And we do not go to the fourth finger on the G string. The G string breaks the pattern. If I was to go to the fourth finger, I'd be playing a B note and then repeating an open B when I go to the next string. So that's good for tuning, but we don't want to do that in the chromatic scale. So we break the pattern, third finger, and then we go to the B string. Your second string, first finger, back to the same pattern, to the fourth finger, fourth fret. Then we go to the top high E string, and we do the same thing to the fourth finger. Then the return trip, we've hit that fourth finger. I'll automatically come back to the third finger, the second finger, the first finger, and then the open string. So I had my fingers down already, and I just came back. Now I'm going to the B string. I'm going to lead with my fourth finger, and I don't have to put all the fingers down. I'm going to go independently. 4, 3, drop off 3 to 2, drop off 2 to 1, and then you've got to hit that open B string before you go to the third finger to the G string. And then you go second finger G string, first finger G string, and then the open G string before you lead to the fourth finger on the D string. So I'm not planting my fingers all down at the same time. I'm doing them independently. Second finger, first finger, open D string. Now I lead with my fourth finger, fourth finger, fourth fret, third finger, third fret, second finger, second fret, first finger, first fret, and then the open A string, fifth string. Then we lead to the sixth string with the fourth finger, third finger, second finger, first finger, open. So we want to learn to go forwards and backwards. So once you've worked on this very slowly for a while, few days, then you'll start to get a little faster. And you go automatically to the A string, automatically to the D, keeping my fingers in position, G string, third finger. Now I'm on the B string. Fingers hugging the frets, come back. Try to keep the fingers in position, because if they're already there, you just have to put them down on the right fret. And then eventually, you're going to get the down-up picking, remember? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You might even say down, up. Down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you want to practice, maybe, you can even do it on any string, just down, up, 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 down, up. So eventually, look at my wrist. See where it is? Watch where it goes. So my wrist went from here to here. See that movement? My thumb has stayed in the same place back here, but my wrist moved to accommodate. I have a space between here. Maybe I can show you here. You see that space? There's a space between my thumb and the neck. If I took a pen here and I put it through here, you could see there's a space. There's always a space here in between. So you want to think about that. All right, so we've done the first thing with the right hand and the left hand. Now we've got some things to practice. I want to show you a little bit on another guitar. Here we have the classical guitar, nylon strings. So these are not steel strings. There's also in this guitar, a cutaway, so that I can play these upper notes. Not all classical guitars have a cutaway. Sometimes they're just joined here and at the 12th fret pretty much. But this is an electric one. It has a electronic tuner built into it. And besides the tuner, it has graphics and all these nice electronics, so I can play this live in an amplifier or a live situation, concert, and be heard. So it's nice having those features, having the tuner built in and the electronics. But it's not needed when you first start, but it's nice to have to learn to use these things. You can see the tuners are different. These are nylon strings, just like nylon stockings. They feel good, okay? So you could do the same exercises. You can hear that the nylon strings sound quite a bit different. And I'm using a pick. But eventually, you might want to learn how to finger pick. And finger picking is when we set this hand up and we... So you can start to hear the nice mellow sound. If you were playing classical music, you know, Bach. You might be playing so Bach, Villalobos. So you can hear the... You don't have to play classical music or Spanish music or anything. You can play blues. You might be playing more like jazz style. Or blues. afternoon. It's fun. So I love different guitars. It's really nice to have the steel string guitars that I own, and the nylon string I love for playing Renaissance music, Baroque period like Bach, the classical guitar period, the Giulianis, and the sonatas, and all these different wonderful classical pieces I love, and Spanish guitar pieces. There's also 12-string guitars. You know, there's guitars with, instead of 12, you have 12 strings, you have 7-string guitars. There's all kinds of different kinds of guitars. But the classical's really nice to have, okay? So, getting into this a little bit more, we went through the lesson with the right hand picking. Sometime you're going to learn to use your fingers, and that's in lessons up the road, okay? We are going to get into finger picking patterns so that you can... You start getting the fingers going and a little bass line going and melodies. It's a riot. And country songs, ragtime songs, bluegrass songs, you know, can all be done on a steel string or classical or electric. Okay, so one other little thing you can do in your lesson this week is learn to play a few chords. The first chord, I want you to put your third finger on the 3rd fret on the high E string. I want you to strum only 3 strings. So you get G, open B, and G. That's a G chord. So when you strum those 3 strings down, you get your first chord. If you put your first finger on the 1st fret, we get what's called a G7 chord. If you take your 2nd finger and go to the 2nd fret, that's a G major 7. So what have you learned here so far? 3 different types of G chords. G chord on the 3rd fret, G major 7 on the 2nd fret, and a G7, just not a major, it's just we call that a dominant chord, G7. Now if I move my 4th finger to the 5th fret, 2nd position, ooh, what have I got now? That would be called a G9, because that's the 9th degree of a major scale. We'll talk about that later. So you got a G9, a G major 7, a G7. So what if I start with this little 4th finger and I strum down, up, down, up, down. I go to G. I go to major 7. Look at my right hand. I've got good finger placement, right? I'm hugging the frets. 2nd finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger. What if I did 4th finger? So I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, G. Now I'm going to skip the major 7 and go to G7. Back to 3rd finger. You get it faster? Down, up, down, up, down, up. Maybe you just work on G to G7 for a while. Just down, 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 down. Then you do the down, up, 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 down, 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 down. So there's your first chord lesson. Wow, you learned 4 chords already. It's a lot of stuff. We'll see if you can get to it this week. I hope you can at least try. The more time you spend, the better. You should be practicing no less than a half hour every day. Maybe you break that up into the morning, afternoon, or lunch. There's lots of ways to practice. You're going to learn different formulas, different ways to practice. You're learning how to learn. And we're going to talk about that in weeks to come and give you more ideas on how to practice and do well with your lessons, okay? It takes patience. And what I want to show you next, so this is what we call the Stratocaster. This is the famous Jimi Hendrix guitar, okay? And the Fender Stratocaster is what we call a classic rock and roll or blues guitar. There's many different models and so on, but when you hear me play this, this is an amplified guitar. Without the amplifier, we don't get much sound. But these are pickups. These are making the, well, when I have it in the position in this lower, that's this neck pickup. And then I go to the middle pickup, and then I go to the high pickup, this back pickup, what we call the bridge pickup. And you can hear all the different tones I'm getting. And since I'm in an amplifier, I can use effects. And that becomes a fun thing to do once you really get into your electric guitar playing. I can take that nice clean sound and I can add the dirt, add the mud, the distortion. I can add other wild effects like flanging. I can add phasing. I can add rotary speaker. I can add echo. Usually on electric guitars, these strings are a light gauge when you first start, and you learn the techniques of bending notes and vibratos. Arpeggio, scales, arpeggios come from scales, and they also come from chords. So the trilogy, chord, scale, arpeggio. Okay, so, you know, boy, it's so much fun playing these guitars. I'm back to clean sound. So you're going to learn lots of chords. And you're going to learn about arpeggios, broken chords, and scales. And that's going to get your ear training going. You're going to start to understand the geography of the fretboard and how music is put together. Hopefully your ear's going to get good. You're going to understand this guitar and understand the language of music, and that's going to cause you to write songs, maybe. Maybe you'll write the hit songs, make the millions. Maybe you just will use this to play with other musicians, this knowledge. If you understand the guitar and the language of music, you can play with great musicians. Or it may be that you want to use the guitar for just playing at the campfire with acoustic guitar or classical, entertaining yourself or your friends or your wife or your kids, playing kid songs for the kids. Maybe it's healing, playing at the old folks' home. Guitar is a wonderful healing instrument. Hear the C chord? If I want to use this as a healing chord, I do this. Hear how nice and like the Sunset Beach? So there are beautiful chords, and then there are chords that add tension. And then there are pretty chords. So the emotion that you're going to learn in music, we're able to, when we learn about music and how to play different styles, you start learning the emotion, how to put your heart into something, how to put your feelings into something, how to learn a song by another guitar player or musician and emulate them, but then to borrow that to learn to play your own style and write songs. And I'm going to be giving you more and more ideas to plant the seeds for you to attain your goals, for you to be a great musician. If you want to go there, we can go there. You've got 53 weeks lessons with me. And you can also, if you're at the certain tier, you can have in-person lessons with me for remote-wise, anywhere in the world. Okay? So a lot of things. I want to thank you for joining the Patreon site. You're welcome to email me with questions. I'd like to hear from you and hear how you're doing. And you got to be patient, but you have to be persevering. You have to work. Guitar can't be just a thing you do every now and then. It needs to be something you work with every day. If you really want to play and you love music, you need to make this part of your lifestyle. And that's how you get really good. You'll attain your goals. At some point, you'll let me know the songs that you want to play, be able to perform or no, or what for whatever reason. And I'll see if I can steer you into learning those songs that you want to learn and be able to play. We'll talk about that. There's so much to do. This is just your first lesson, so do your best. Watch the video several times. Stop it at certain areas and work on it. And let's see how you do the first week, okay? I'll be curious to hear from you. But take your time. And eventually, you'll be able to look back some months later and go, wow, Robert showed me that and I thought it was so hard. And now look at me, I'm playing all this cool stuff, you know? You'll be able to look back and go, wow, I've made progress. But the first week, it's tough. We're starting to get these fingers going. It feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel natural yet. But it will after the weeks go by, and the more you keep working with it. So I'm excited for you to play for whatever reason it is. Guitar is just the most wonderful instrument. I've been playing all my life since I was a little boy, 5 years old. So I've had lots of experience, and I've been on the road with my heroes and toured the world many times over, and you know, I'm writing a book. I'm doing all these crazy things right now, but I appreciate your patronage. Your patronage really helps me to be able to do great things like these lessons for you and make them better and better. Okay, so hey, I'm signing off. Not all the lessons are going to be this long. This is about close to a 50-minute lesson. So hang in there and watch it. Get some questions for me. And good luck. I'm going to heart you on your first lesson, okay? Whether you're a child or an older person, an ancient person like me, go for it.